wants to help this dog learn not to jump up? Who else? Oh, come on, people.
Yay.
Come on. Come on. So you're going to, that's what you snack. And I'll give you a treat. Okay. So give it a whirl.
Hey, Rocco. Hi, come on.
Turn your back. Ignore. Good. Turn back. Try again.
Here, hi.
Turn your back. Good. Really good. Turn back.
Hey, buddy. Hi, come on.
Click.
Hi, come on.
There you go. Good.
Good boy.
Try again.
Come on. Come
Click. I know what side your brain is falling off. Try again.
Hey, Rocco, come on. Good boy.
Do one.
Come on. Come here. Come on. Good boy. Very nice.
Good. Have a seat. You did awesome. Okay, now, if you're working solo, how do you want to show with food? I'll tether. You want to be tethered? Yeah. If you're working solo, and you can do this in a kennel without a leash. You know, just keep turning your back, turning your back. Some dogs, will jump on your back. So for those dogs, you want to start outside the kennel. Encourage them outside, 4 paws on, click, treat. So work outside the kennel before you go inside the kennel. And the thing is, if they're going to jump on your back, they're a candidate for saying, hey, will you help me work with this dog and get a partner, right? But if you got a dog you want to work solo with, one of the things that you can do after, let's say they've gotten really good. You're doing this, you're sitting there like, this is a setup and I'm not jumping, right? Which is exactly what you want them to think. You want them to think any human being begging them to jump up is setting them up, where's my meatball, I'm not jumping, right? You can then say, oh, well maybe you'll jump up for food. So Heather's going to have food in her hand. And if the dog jumps for it, she's just going to make a fist so he can't get it. She is not going to pull it away. Notice she didn't pull her hand away because that gets a snatching dog. I don't want a snatching dog. So I'm holding it, you jump for it, I'll just make a fist, you can't get it. So what we're trying to teach this dog is there's going to be a lot of reasons you want to jump up, like the rotisserie chicken on the counter. But we're going to give you all of this practice learning that no matter why you want to jump up, don't. I do this with toys too. You jump for a toy. I don't play with you, right?
Good.
You don't jump for the toy. I'll play with you.
Deven, in doing training and trying to get the dog to jump on you, is there any issues with thinking down the line when you're trying to get a dog to come to you? I mean, I guess typically you would say, versus, come.
Well, notice we're not saying anything, right? So for starters,
So
it's just motion, and I don't motion dogs to come to me this way. You might.
No, I'm talking about more the words.
Yeah, so we're not saying any words, right? There's been no cues,
Okay.
not one cue. Because here's the thing. This just happened in a class last night. So it's very fresh in my mind. A dog was barking and he kept going, shh, 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 shh. The dog doesn't know the shh cue. And because she was shushing when the dog was barking, she was labeling barking as shh, 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 shh. So what she's going to get in the future is shh, bark, bark, shh, bark. It's like heading down the wrong street, I don't have a cue for jumping off. So a lot of people have off or down, right? Off, down. The dog's going to get off or down. But you gave it attention and you breathed on it. So it's going to jump again, right? So I'm not concerned with getting down right now. I'm concerned with not jumping up at all in the future. That's what I'm after. So I don't label this because one of the things, this is where I think having a group of so many different people interacting with the dogs, who's using what cue, when are you using it, what is it? No, you don't have to cue anything at all. Just click and treat. Click and treat a good decision. You don't have to name the good decision. You don't have to, because here's the thing, you can micromanage a dog with cues, right? You can impose control. And I have clients that just sit, they're in the, every 2 seconds they're telling the dog what to do. I have 3 dogs now. At one point I had 4. There's multi-dog people in this room, many of you. Robin has 20. Tara, always trying to build her pack. But the bottom line is I can't micromanage my dogs. There's too many. So what I like to teach is make good decisions. You're on your own. And when you make them, I'll pay you. I'll make it worth your while. But make good decisions. So we're not even talking about a cue here. Now, I want to talk about jumping up and why it's so hard to deal with and what it's really all about. How many people think dogs jump up because they're rude? Oh, you guys are totally not telling the truth. Come on.
And you're excited and they want to go out.
Excited? I know the answer to this question, Deven. Okay, there's a part of the dog's anatomy, and I bet this dog will let us do it, that I want you to feel. It's an essential part of the dog's anatomy. It's in the roof of their mouth, right behind their two front teeth. I mean, right behind their two front teeth. It's within 1/10 of an inch of their two front teeth. So what I want you to do is, hey, sweetie, I'll be the first victim. I love this decision. Is that yum? Is that cheese? High five. So I'm giving him a little treat, and when he ate the treat, I could rub my finger up behind the back of his teeth, and I felt 2 bumps. Who wants to feel them? Oh, come on, people. So I don't want you to jam your finger in the dog's mouth. So for some dogs, I let them nibble, and I feel with the other hand. For some dogs, I do the finger that the treat's on. So go ahead, keep the food low to the ground, and oh, you can only feel sort of one on his are so close together. Roof of the mouth right behind the 2 front teeth. Do you feel the big bump? No. You're going too far down the mouth, so it's right behind the 2 front teeth.
Don't stick your finger in my mouth.
You want to give it a try? Hi, baby.
You know, I can feel it's the top of the mouth is bumpy anyhow.
Now there's a
So
very distinct 2 bumps that are right in the middle. Very distinct. Very, very, very distinct. So it's not a ridge. It stands out from the ridge.
You feel it? Let me feel it. You don't need a treat.
Yeah, I think I felt it.
It's like, no, I'm not opening my mouth. I got a treat.
He was like, this was fun, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, we need to go.
Yep, we'll take a break. Okay, so there's 2 bumps in the roof of a dog's mouth. Cats have them too. I dare you to try this on a cat. Apparently reptiles do too. I just found this out about snakes. Very cool. And I'm not trying this with a snake. It's the vomeronasal organ. It's their social nose. It's vitally important. And because we don't see it, we don't tend to think about it. In fact, up until about 30 years ago, we thought it was extinct and it didn't work. And then we started cutting some out. Turns out it's pretty important. The primary job of the vomeronasal organ, it's also known as the Jacobean organ, is to process pheromones. There are 2 areas that are very rich in pheromones. Anyone want to guess what those are?
Butt.
Okay. We were definitive about that already. That would be the last name information.
Somebody's been on the computer.
And where else? Mouth, right? So when 2 dogs greet each other naturally, where do they concentrate the first 30 seconds that they meet each other? They make that circle, right? So it is their version of a handshake. And if you think about our version of a handshake, if I go up and shake your hand, it's a lot more complicated than 2 hands shaking, right? We're assessing facial expression, body carriage, energy, strength of the shake, right? There's kind of all of these determinations we're making from a handshake. The same thing is true of that. So when they're collecting pheromones from each other, they're getting information about sexual status, overall health, recent resources that they've gotten exposed to, and tons of stuff we don't understand at all. This is such a poorly understood organ. So it's natural for a dog, when greeting, to say, I'm going to come get your pheromones. And notice when they don't get them up here, where do they go next? Right. So they're getting those pheromones one way or another, right? So this is another reason why if you talk to a dog when they jump up, down, off, you have given them pheromones. You have, in fact, rewarded them for the move, right? And also, just in a general training rule of thumb, asking for another behavior after the inappropriate behavior has occurred, or what you deem the inappropriate behavior has occurred, doesn't change the inappropriate behavior. Right? It's already happened. Right? So, so they'll get down, right? But it will absolutely guarantee they jump again. That's why when he jumped up, I said, you know what? I'm taking my pheromones away. Oh, you didn't jump up? I not only treated him, I leaned down and said, what a great job you're doing. Breath. Right? So one of the things that I like to do with dogs that know me and are good at not jumping up is I lean down and talk to them. Hey, awesome. Here's your meatball. Right? Coming at you. Coming at you. So this is also what we want to do with mouthing. So dogs explore the world with their mouth. And especially when you get youngsters in here, they're very mouthy. If you yip, most dogs think you're playing. And they get even more hyped up. Right? They're like, oh, they're like little piranhas. What I want you to do is, what they want to do is engage, right? I'm tugging on you because I want to play and I want to engage. And what you need to do is say, I actually don't play that way. Now, if you have a dog that pulls big time on leash, then going out with a tug toy is a great idea. I'm going to give you something you can tug. And if you walk politely for a step or two, click, let's tug the toy. Let's share the toy. Let's take a few steps with me. Click, treat. And I know you guys are thinking, Deven, that's utopia. I can't even get 2 steps out the door. Loose leash walking, we are addressing that in a future class. It's coming. So let's put this little baby away. Great. Oh, wait, hold on. Bring him back over here for a second. Hey, sweetie. Thanks for playing.
I should probably also save you from yourself because we're about to.
Any questions?
So you just made a comment about that if it's a dog out and a lot of people make that yipping sound if he grabs at you. There's a lot of trainers out there that when they're younger, like their puppies, you do that because that's how the puppies signal to one another. So you're saying that regardless of the age, if they're doing something you want, don't give them that sound, that yipping sound, because it excites them.
Exactly. So the bottom line is, dogs know you're not a dog.
Right.
So, and we don't sound like dogs when we yip. Although I will tell you, Patricia McConnell comes really close. I was hugely impressed at a seminar first. I was like, okay, you can yip, right? So, but they know, and what it is it's engagement, right? So it doesn't, and what people don't talk about is the fact that the yip precedes, I'm not going to engage with you for 30 seconds. It's the disengagement. The yip might be, a momentary response to, ow, right? But what follows it is, I'm not going to play with you for 30 seconds. It always follows it. It's not the yip that stops the behavior. It's the I'm not going to play with you that stops the behavior, right? So when you're thinking about a behavior, and jumping up and mouthing are both in the same category, the dog is trying to get your attention and engage with you. So what you can use is, when you do that, you're not going to get what you want. When you don't do that, you'll totally get what you want, right? That's what it's about. Now, this doesn't work for counter surfing, because if the dog jumps on the counter for rotisserie chicken and you leave the room, right, gets rotisserie chicken. Right? So turning your back is not the solution for everything. But for these behaviors whose intent is to get attention and interaction with you, that can be very, very powerful. Now, one of the challenges you guys have in here is, again, we have dogs who the loss of you might not mean that much. Oh, you turned your back. There's some dog pee over here, I'm going to say. Right? That's another reason to establish connection with a marker so that people have value. So that when you choose to remove yourself, it matters. Right? Because remember, whether something is a reinforcer or a punisher, only the change in behavior tells you that. Right? That's the only thing that did you see more of it than what the dog was getting paid with was a reinforcer? Did you see less of it? It was a punisher. I once worked with a client, had a very mouthy puppy. And I advised her and her husband to turn their back or leave the room. And after 2 weeks, she said, it's just gotten so much worse. And I said, I've got to see this. So I went out there. It had gotten a lot worse. The people leaving were a reward for the dog. I'm not kidding. It was so clear.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, try having that conversation. If you really want to punish the dog, stay. Right? Yeah, they were very intense. This was a really sensitive dog. And this dog actually did better with distance from the human. And because of my training suggestion, the dog learned, well, if I go for their ankle, they're going to leave me alone. And thank you for leaving me alone. Right? So it was like, whoo, okay, in that case, it was a reward. What told me that? The change in behavior. So reinforcers and punishers defined by the change in behavior, not by how much money you spend at the pet food store for that treat. Okay, any other questions?
So for a mouthy dog that, you know, you're down and they're mouthing, and you turn, and then they mouth.
Behaviors change body color.
What, you know, if you back away, it almost seems to me like they're kind of, it's gonna play.
So if you know you have a really kind of mouthy dog, that's again where I think it's helpful to have a partner who can step on a leash, or go in there with something they can appropriately mouth, right? Like, okay, I know you're going to come at me, you're excited, you're going to use your mouth. I'm solo. Here's a toy. Let's get you interested in the toy. Mouth the toy.
So do that, not ask them to sit and give them a treat, because if you ask them to sit and give them a treat, they're like, if I'm out, then I sit, then I get a treat.
Well, if you ask them to sit before they mouth, like if that's your first move, if you give them an alternative behavior suggestion, but this assumes they know what sit means and they've been reinforced for it. You know? So dogs are not born knowing sit and shake, which most kids think all dogs know. I mean, the littlest kids are like, shake! That's what dogs like. So that, you know, you're making a lot of assumptions. Can you use an alternate behavior? You betcha. But the key is use it before the unwanted behavior, or as you're suggesting, I'm going to chain this behavior. This dog's going to mouth me, so I ask it to sit so it gets a treat. Oh, they're really good at that. Dogs are awesome at patterns. They love them. And that's what you see with jumping up on counters. Off, here's a treat. So if the dog's in the kitchen not jumping up, no feedback. But oh, if I go for the chicken, you're going to tell me to get off? I better give me a piece of the chicken. That's exactly what happens. And they're like, oh, I figured out the system. This is great. And that's what people are like, oh, you know, your dog's messing with you. It's like, you taught it the system, right? You gave it the information. You ignored it when it wasn't jumping up on counters, right? When I'm in the kitchen working and my dogs are in there, when they're young, they get meals fed while I'm working at the counter. What a nice choice. Thank you for not jumping up. We never think of paying for nothing. It's what we want all the time. Pay for nothing. It's all important. Okay. Thank you all so much. I know we ran like way late. Did you have one question?
Yeah, I do clarify. So the dog's being mouthy, and then you just kind of hang there for a sec, and then the dog stops. That's when you put treat.
Yep.
And that's you just have to wait.
And what you want to start doing is adding, so you can either, if you can remove yourself, great, right, from the mouthiness. If you can actually remove yourself, it's awesome. If someone's stepping on a leash. But you can also be like, okay, I'm going to wait for you to stop mouthing, click treat, and I'm going to start asking for longer periods of mouthing, of non-mouthing, right? So first it's like a nanosecond, I'll pay that. But pretty soon it's going to be 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Like, I really want to start establishing that not mouthing me at all pays. Okay. You all have been so patient, and you're great with the dogs. Tara comes to Canine Campus every Saturday, and she brings an SPCA Poochie Poo. If anyone wants to come and practice this stuff with her, come. You are welcome, and we're right around the corner. And you get to practice with dogs from here, and it gives you a chance, because this is a mechanical skill, and it takes practice and forethought. And we have a couple of weeks built in for questions, and those might be times to start trolling the kennels and start working in the kennels. So we're actually in the environment and working on it. Go forth and train. Smile on your face, wag in your tail. Have fun. If you're not having fun, the dogs aren't having fun.